Have you ever felt haunted? Not by ghosts, but by a phantom limb, an absence that aches with a strange, insistent pull. It's the feeling of needing to check your phone, even when you know there's nothing there. It's a modern paradox. We're more connected than ever, yet desperately disconnected from ourselves. Imagine a library. Not a sterile, hushed hall, but a warm space filled with the scent of aged paper and polished wood. A fire crackles in the hearth, casting dancing shadows on the bookshelves. You're surrounded by stories, by knowledge, by the quiet weight of centuries of thought. This is where deep work blossoms, where ideas take root and grow. But what if, in the midst of this sanctuary, a little rectangle kept buzzing? It's not the internet itself that's the problem. It's not the boundless ocean of information at our fingertips. The real culprit is far more insidious. It's the expertly crafted algorithms, the meticulously designed interfaces of specific apps and platforms engineered to hijack our attention. They don't just want your time, they want your mind. They've built digital slot machines, and we're all playing. We talk about FOMO, the fear of missing out. But there's a darker, more primal fear at play. Subtle anxiety whispering that if we aren't constantly plugged in, we might miss an emergency, a crisis, something terrible. It's a manufactured urgency, a false alarm that keeps us perpetually on edge. Think about it. For millennia, humans lived with periods of disconnection. We went to the movies, dined with friends, traveled without instant access to the world's news. And the world didn't end. Our grandparents navigated life without a constant stream of notifications. Our parents managed careers and families before smartphones became extensions of our hands. We too survived and thrived in a world where being unreachable wasn't a catastrophe. When you try to disconnect, that's when the noise starts. The internal questioning. What if something important happens? What if I'm needed? It feels like a withdrawal, a nagging emptiness. But what if that emptiness isn't a sign of deprivation, but of liberation? What if, beneath the anxiety, lies a quiet space waiting to be rediscovered? It's easy to dismiss this as willpower, as a matter of simply being strong enough to resist temptation. But it's much more complex than that. These platforms aren't just competing for your attention, they're tapping into the very architecture of your brain. They exploit our innate desire for novelty, for social connection, for validation. Consider this. When you reach for your phone, is it a conscious decision or a reflex? Is it a deliberate act or an unconscious craving? It's often the latter. The dopamine hits, those little bursts of pleasure we get from likes, comments, and new information, create a feedback loop. Anticipation, reward, anticipation, reward. It's a powerful cycle, and it's incredibly difficult to break. Imagine a beautifully crafted glass and metal device, designed with colors and icons, specifically chosen to stimulate your neural alert systems. It promises connection, entertainment, and knowledge, but delivers distraction. It's a stymied dopamine response when it's not there, a constant urge to fill the void. It's not merely about the time spent scrolling. It's about the cognitive cost of constantly switching your focus. Every time you jump from one app to another, from one notification to the next, your brain has to reorient itself, to rebuild its neural pathways. It's exhausting. Some argue that this constant connectivity is a new form of symbiosis, a merging of human and technology. that our phones are extensions of our brains, adding to our cognitive capacity. But there's a darker interpretation, a moderate behavioral addiction. The same anxious craving a gambler feels when unable to place a bet. The same relief when they can finally indulge. And the younger generation, those who grew up immersed in this digital world, face a unique challenge. For them, the internet isn't a tool they adopted. It's an environment they were born into. It's woven into the fabric of their social lives, their identities, their very sense of self. But even for those who are deeply entangled, there is hope. There's a growing recognition that unrestricted internet usage isn't a harmless pastime, but a potential threat to well-being and productivity. A shift in cultural norms is coming. We're beginning to understand that perhaps, just perhaps, we need to be more careful about what we allow into our minds. Those who have intentionally reduced their digital footprint often report a surprising outcome, not a sense of loss, but of clarity. They describe a coming out of the fog, a renewed ability to focus, to think deeply, to connect authentically with the world around them. They discover that true enrichment doesn't come from endless scrolling, but from deliberate engagement, from meaningful experiences, from quiet contemplation. It's not about rejecting technology altogether. It's about reclaiming control, about prioritizing deep work over shallow distraction, about creating space for the things that truly matter. I once offered a challenge to my lab. If anyone could get me to ask for my phone back before 5 p.m., I'd give them $100. My lab was large, and the temptation was strong. But no one ever claimed the reward. Because the ability to focus, to immerse myself in meaningful work, became its own reward. I'm not a believer in long hours. My brain tires. I'm most productive for about 4.5 hours a day. But those hours are powerful because they're protected. They're shielded from the constant barrage of notifications, the endless stream of information, the seductive pull of the digital world. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with intention and focus. It's about remembering that our attention is a finite resource and choosing wisely where we direct it. So the next time you feel that phantom limb twitching, that urge to check your phone, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really seeking? Connection, information, validation, or am I simply succumbing to a carefully engineered distraction? The world will not end if you leave your phone in another room. In fact, your world might just begin.